The Kingdom of Bahrain is exerting great efforts to protect and preserve the environment and natural resources. Through these efforts, the Kingdom aims to ensure the sustainability of the development process in many fields, and this has been reflected in the Constitution of the Kingdom of Bahrain and the National Action Charter, through directing the efforts towards achieving the balance between the protection of the environment and the development requirements, and the alignment with Bahrain Economic Vision 2030 and the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
It is very clear that the leadership in Bahrain is taking the environment as one of the main priorities for the national government. We also has been, by the direction of His Majesty, doing a lot of projects to protect the environment with the supervision of His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister. The importance of the environment on a national and international level is actually growing, especially now after the pandemic. You can see that the focus on the environment is huge.
Her Royal Highness Princess Abidja bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, wife of the King of Bahrain and the President of the Supreme Council for Women, has undertaken a pioneer role in protecting and developing the agricultural sector. Her Royal Highness is keen to achieve the necessary balance between agricultural land and urban development due to its importance for the people's health and well-being, in addition to ensuring domestic food security without relying on external resources, as well as increasing the contribution of the agricultural sector to the gross domestic product. The National Initiative for Agricultural Development was launched to implement the directives of Her Royal Highness to achieve her future vision of a continuous development of the agricultural sector. It unites all stakeholders in the kingdom and coordinates existing efforts in order to boost the agricultural sector and to set future plans to achieve the strategic goal. Bahrain International Garden Show is one of the National Initiative for Agricultural Development's main projects, which was established in 2004 and became a leading gardening show in the region. It is a platform for experts and enthusiasts to further develop their expertise and knowledge with the latest and best practices in the industry. It is also an occasion for potential investors to seek profitable agricultural investment opportunities. Bahrain realized in an early stage that the agricultural sector is one of the most important three sectors forming any global economy: agriculture, industry, and services. It is the main sector to achieve sustainable development and economic balance. As a result, its efforts to preserve the sector and ensure stability will always continue and witness every support to maintain constant growth.
So you are taking me back to 2004, I guess. Yeah, I recall the significant leap that has happened, because I was a member in the Bahrain Garden Club, and the competitions there I was witnessing, and I was noticing the competitions there. Then the jump started in 2004 when the International Bahrain Garden Show started or established. Since 2004 until the current years, I witnessed a drastic and significant development. Whether in terms of the number of the participants, there is We started with low number of participations. I guess in 2004 it did not exceed 44 participants, the participation was limited to 44. Then if we compare it with 2018, it increased up to 154 participants who joined the International Garden Show, and they presented what they have and presented their activities. The garden show developed not only in terms of the number of the exhibitors, but also the number of the people who can visit this interesting and, let's say, eye-catching activity that is happening in Bahrain. The number increased, and I believe that in 2018 it reached even more than 45,000 visitors who visited the show, and they enjoyed the facilities and they enjoyed the exhibits. It's not only the enjoyment. Such activities, it can add value to the country actually, because through these international shows, the exchange of experience, exchange of even trading, developing the trading in the sector, and also increases the public awareness regarding the importance of the agriculture development, in particularly the food production, to maintain and to achieve food security.
The agricultural sector is considered an important element that countries underpin in their efforts to achieve food security. The Kingdom of Bahrain has focused on it by developing a long-term strategy toward constant progress. As a result, several initiatives have been launched, including the development of agricultural laboratories at the Agriculture and Marine Resources, providing support to farmers with extension services, encouraging agricultural investment, and marketing to farmers through the permanent market farmers in Ali beside the seasonal farmers market in Bahrain Botanical Garden.
Climate change is defined as significant changes in temperature, global temperatures, precipitation and wind patterns and others related to climate change. It usually happens over several decades or even longer. It all started with the science behind climate change. Usually Earth within the atmosphere is surrounded with particular gases called greenhouse gases. Those gases are available naturally with certain percentages around Earth, and they form as a protective blanket to protect the Earth and keep it warm, and at the same time absorb certain amount of heat coming from the sun. With the Industrial Revolution, human-made emissions increased, and they were part of the industrial, agriculture and grazing sector because of burning fossil fuel. So the amount of greenhouse gases increased within the blanket surrounding Earth, and thus introducing what we call the greenhouse effect, and leading to global warming and then particularly to climate change. Scientists in the early 19th century have noticed the relation between increase on temperature and the greenhouse gases impact. They have argued that considerably within the 60s of last century, and with the advancement of technologies, scientists had proven evidence of climate change. The international communities and the United Nations led the world to declaring the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change, which Bahrain is signatory to. This convention entered into force in 1995, and then came in the Protocol Kyoto, which entered into force in 2005. This particular Kyoto required particular instruments to achieve the convention. Paris Agreement in 2015, addressed and declared in 2015, superseded the Kyoto Protocol. Bahrain is a signatory to the Convention, Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement. This is the history behind climate change and the impacts that dealt into what we call right now impacts of climate change.
The government of Bahrain taking the Sustainable Development Goals very seriously. We have submitted voluntarily the achievements that the government has been done to the United Nations by 2018, and the next report we're going to submit it soon. The government has linked the government program with the SDGs to measure the KPIs of the achievements for the Sustainable Development Goals.
Preserving the quality of air is an essential part and key element of the process of protecting the environment and its natural resources. Through the Supreme Council for the Environment, Bahrain allocates special importance to preserving air and getting rid of its pollutants, as well as the operations that increase the rate of air-harming gases through various monitoring stations placed in different locations in the kingdom around the clock, along with implementing other environmental projects that contribute to the reduction of environment pollution.
Air quality has always been an issue in the media, and we are always getting questions and concerns from the locals, from the local community about what is the situation of air quality in Bahrain. We can confidently say that the air quality is within the national standards for the majority of the year. Obviously, during the sandstorm season, we will have a higher level of the particulated matters pollutants, which are mainly the dust that has the major contribution as a particulated matter. And this is not only the situation in Bahrain, it is the situation of all the countries in the region, especially all the GCC countries.
ozone layer discovered in 1913. The goal of the ozone layer is to protect Earth from UV rays produced by the sun, which cause different diseases such as skin cancer, cataracts, etc. In 1940s, some scientists found there is depletion in the ozone layer. And exactly in 1974, two of the scientists found the reason of that depletion, which such chemicals or some chemicals affect the ozone layer, destroy it, and create a big hole in two of the polars in the Earth. That hole produces a lot of UV rays to the Earth, which this is harmful ways, of course, and which will cause a disaster to the Earth if it's not solved and protect the layer itself. In 1985, around 15 countries in the world, they agreed to have a treaty called Vienna Convention to protect ozone layer. After 2 years of the convention, Vienna Convention an act, such countries sign another treaty called Montreal Protocol about ozone depleting substances. This protocol has been signed and ratified by Bahrain in 1990. Bahrain was the first country in the GCC signed that protocol, and this is a very important protocol to control the substances like CFCs, HCFCs, these chemicals, halogens. This chemical was used in different sectors in Bahrain.
You've come to the Allspa Response Limited Bahrain base. At Allspa Response, we work very closely with the Supreme Council for the Environment. Allspa Response Limited is an industry-funded organisation which focuses on environmental cleanup, working for our members to respond to oil spills. We have a number of bases all around the world. Bahrain is just one of them. We also have bases in the UK, in Singapore, in America, and in South America, and also in South Africa and Norway. Allspa Response Limited and the Supreme Council for the Environment work together on building the capability for oil spills, for the response to oil spills in Bahraini waters. So this might be through supporting training or exercising. It might be through ongoing advice, whether it be on the phone or face to face. And also during the event of a spill, it would be to support the Supreme Council for the Environment with how they regulate the responsible parties' response to it. At the base, we have a range of equipment and personnel. Our equipment is specifically designed to respond to the oil spills by cleaning up the oil, whether it be from removing it from the sea surface, dispersing it into the water column, or removing it from the substrates. We also have people who are trained up in incident management systems in all facets of oil spill response techniques and developments. And they will be the responders that actually go out into the field and supervise the crews of people doing the cleanup. The equipment that we've got is specialist. It's upgraded and updated regularly to reflect developments in technology and also developments in the science and the understanding of what is the most environmentally effective way of responding to an oil spill.
One of the main mandates of the Supreme Council for Environment, according to the Environmental Law 21 for 1996, is setting the strategies for waste in the country. Waste is one of the important and the main environmental issues worldwide. The Supreme Council for Environment are responsible for hazardous waste, and we have our landfill. We are managing the landfill at Hafira for hazardous waste, and since the early 2001 we've been managing the landfill, and we got an award for the construction and the management of the landfill by the time that we started the management of that landfill. However, all landfills are being regarded as a storage area or temporary storage area. If we want to have a proper management for waste, our aim is not just to store the waste in the landfill. We are looking ambitiously to implement circular economy. And we are trying to do our best in utilizing the waste in other products and provide the possible circulation of the waste rather than just storing it in the landfill.
Bahrain is proud to be one of the first countries in the region to respond to the initiative launched by the United Nations Environment Programme, calling for embracing the ecosystem-based approach on the national and regional levels. In addition, Bahrain is also the first country in the GCC region to have established its clearinghouse mechanism. The kingdom is committed to fulfill the international obligation as a party of the Convention on Biological Diversity. Moreover, it is committed towards the conservation and sustainable utilization of its biodiversity for its citizens and future generations.
Al Ain is one of our protected areas, so it has two parts. Part that is a wildlife protected areas for the size of 8 kilometers square, and the other one that showcase the different species. What we're trying to do is to increase the awareness about how to protect certain species, especially the local species. Al-Maha, Al-Nimr al-Arabi, all the species, Al-Falcons, are protected by law in Bahrain. It's not only about that, we need to regulate how we are trading with the certain species. This species should be protected by the locals, governments. So the migrations of this species are under international law, either by CITES and to protect this kind of animals. That's why we developed an online application for CITES now. So if you're going to import any kind of species, it has to go through process to make sure that it was not smuggled from its original country. And the falcons, we worked also in developing, after the CITES certificate, to develop a passport to make sure that this species is not smuggled from the wildlife. I think we've been successfully made an effort on the plantations of mangroves in Bahrain. We've done a new technology by trial and error to use the seeds to transplant mangroves. Now we do have 3 nurseries. We're producing around 10,000 trees a year of mangroves. And this is a successful story for Bahrain to transplant mangroves from the scratch.
So one of the ecosystems that's naturally present in Bahrain is the mangrove forest. However, today they can only be found naturally in Tubli Bay, with the largest aggregation in Ras Sanad. The mangrove forest itself is home to one species of mangrove called Avicennia marina, or more commonly known as black mangrove. And so to promote or restore this environment back in Bahrain, the mangrove planting project was initiated in 2013, where in that year alone, 1,500 mangrove saplings were transplanted in Tubli Bay and Arad Bay. And as I said, the ones in Tubli Bay naturally grow there. However, the ones in Arad Bay were manually transplanted. And the way that works is by first collecting seeds, for example, from Ras Sanad, and then potting them and planting them in any of the plant nurseries that we have, like Tubli Plant Nursery, which is where we're at right now, and then transplanting them in any of the locations that we have in Bahrain that can sustain mangrove growth, like Arad Bay, Ras Hayyan, and Jaram Islands. So yeah, fast forwarding to 2016, when the project started to get more traction and expand, the first self-irrigation nursery was built in Ras Sanad, which became a catalyst for the transplanting of mangrove saplings. And after that, the project continued and continues to grow to this day with the collaboration of several national entities, where we've seen an increase in the area of mangrove cover, specifically in Arad Bay, and an overall healthy condition of mangroves in Ras Sanad.
The marine environment represents about 91% of the total land and water area of the Kingdom of Bahrain. This environment includes some of the most important strategic resources for the kingdom and plays a crucial role in the life of its people. Fisheries are the only source of protein which is fully produced in the country and one of the pillars of its food security.
We're going in to protect more species, and I think we are concentrating on the sharks. We did protection and a nursery to protect the turtles. We're now looking to protect more of sharks. We believe that the shark has been overfishing, and we need to protect this kind of species.
Green Information and Communication Technology (ICT) adoption is considered as one of leading projects implemented by the Supreme Council for Environment within the field of environment and informatics. The Council has executed the project in 2009 by adopting usage of latest modern technology in the field of green ICT in order to rationalize electricity consumption and eventually reducing the carbon footprint of the entity. As the consumption of technology has increased, so has the electronic waste. As a result, a lot of awareness is being raised about green IT, including energy-efficient use of technology and proper disposal of electronic waste. The main objective of the project is to optimize the application of green technologies within the working environment. This objective stems from the Council's vision to become a model in such a practice on national and regional levels.
The leadership of His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Hamad, the chairperson of the Supreme Council for Environment, always encourage us to work more into protecting the environment, looking at the implementation of our national strategies. Therefore, we managed to develop 3 different strategies: national strategy on air quality, national strategy on waste management, and our national adaptation investment plans. Those 3 strategies will be our main focus for the next 4 years.